to make sure that WRSA is doing what's in your best interest and what's in your best interest as a rancher. Challenge us, question us, ask us to achieve or improve on certain things, and please be critical in what your suggestions are, that we make sure that what we do is for the benefit of our members and for the benefit of our industry. So firstly, it's my privilege to be here today and to welcome you all and to see a lot of familiar faces within the industry, a lot of familiar faces from around the country, so it's a privilege to be here. And then I'd just like to say a special thanks to our sponsors, Gijs Pitzer, Agility Agri, Castle de Wild, NTK, and then I'd also like to make reference to Corne du Plessis Auctioneering, Wildswinkel and Auer, who distributed today's invite amongst their databases as well, to invite people to come listen to what we have to say about the Buffalo Symposium. So firstly, talking about the agenda for today, we're going to be talking about everything buffalo and buffalo orientated in terms of diseases, management, the buffalo system that we're busy trying to develop online, our interaction with state at the moment and where we're going with buffalo testing and the potential privatization or movement of buffalo. And then we have got scheduled at 12:30 an industry update of what's happening in the industry in terms of legislation, regulations, etc. So that will divert a little bit from the buffalo. There was a suggestion that maybe at 12 o'clock we stop for a small body break for 5 minutes for tea and coffee. So we'll do that just before the Q&A session. So what's the current situation regarding buffalo numbers? These are the figures from 2012, where you can see where most of the registered buffalo farms are in the country. Now, WRSA did receive a little bit of criticism to say, why are you starting in Limpopo and what is your plans for expansion? Well, the fact of the matter is more than 50% of all registered buffalo properties in the country are in Limpopo. Most of the challenges that we have are in Limpopo. So if we're going to get something right, I think this is the ideal place for us to start, and we've already started seeing good results going forward. You can also see then from Free State, 333, Eastern Cape, 279. Those figures are all self-explanatory on the top. But that's where we are sitting in the beginning of 2022. Now, Albert Einstein says, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Gerard Heineke has a different view on this. He says, insanity is waiting for the state over and over again, expecting a different result. And that's basically where we're sitting at the moment as an industry. We're continuously waiting for the state, and we're waiting for the state to make decisions on our behalf. That's why we as WRSA said we have to put our hand up and say we represent an industry. We must showcase what that industry is worth and lead that industry as best we can. Now, during this week, I did have one member phone me and say he disagrees with what we're trying to get achieved here today with the Buffalo Symposium, and he disagrees with what we're trying to achieve with state. He says we must wait for the state to completely capitulate and fail, and then take them to court and then do all buffalo movements. My view as WRSA and my personal view is totally different from that. I think we must take leadership, we must take ingenuity, and we must work with the department as best we can. If the view around the table here today is that we must rather wait for the state to capitulate, well then we must rather shut WRSA down, and I must also go back to farming. Because then I'm not serving you as our members, and I'm not serving the interests of this industry. So where are we to date? We had our first CPD training course on the 30th of March to the 4th of April, which was a groundbreaking initiative that Dr. David and Dr. Richard Burrows partook in, and we'll be hearing more about this. When we originally anticipated maybe 2 or 3 state vets attending, we had 18 out of the 19 Limpopo state vets attend the CPD training course. Because that's one of the first places that we're having issues, is that the people who are actually employed to do the testing on the ground aren't really qualified to do that testing. So we've started working on that and addressing that. For those that have already joined our online system, I'd like to say thank you. So what we've done in the WRSA portal is we've created the first link to traceability with your ranch management, that you can register your game farm, that you can plot your game farm, so we can say with complete certainty where the farms are, how the movement takes place, and what movement it is. We're starting to work on 2 unique online permit application portals. The one is the bush pig or the warthog meat application, as well as the buffalo registration, making it completely online. So the Buffalo registration, all of you would be aware that you've got your WR number. That WR number has been replaced with a BU number. The system is already designed that it can accommodate you in that way, and that it can help you with your registration. So please utilize it. With our system, we've also developed other needs, such as client management, where you can send out emails and messages to your clients before they even come to your property, with indemnity forms and permission to hunt. This is just an example how you can store your client database and build it that way. And while we're talking about that at the moment, I'd like to highlight something about the security of your data. The data you put on the system is your data. No one, including myself, can see your individual data unless you give me your authentication password. That's the only way someone can see your data, is if you give them your password. What we can see as an industry is the collective data, say now for the Waterberg or for the Limpopo. And then we can use that to discuss with state and argue with state why the importance is to recognize the wildlife ranching sector. We've also developed safari tags. I'd like to encourage you guys to utilize this. It's a unique QR tag that can be linked to an individual hunter, and those QR tags have all your paperless trail for your permits, your permission to hunt, who is the hunter, who the billing address is, where the movements are. So just on the scan of one QR tag, you can know exactly what the traceability is of that game meat or that trophy going forward. So that's something I'd also suggest that if you'd like to know a bit more about, get involved. We're also on the brink of getting Wild In International. As you all know, we created Wild In to compete with Lekker and Airbnb, which would not recognize hunting farms. And if you had any form of hunting farm, they'd severely remove you from the marketing campaign and from Lekker or Airbnb. We've recently had a fantastic meeting with Dreams Hotel Resorts, as well as an international company called Travia, which is the second largest behind Booking.com, where they hope to expand our Wild In system internationally, that we can start generating international traffic directly to our members through this booking platform. We've also worked hard on the right of admission or the biosecurity boards. Many of you guys have seen these boards. These boards are absolutely free. Your first board is free, so please, if you've not received a board yet, make sure that you do not leave today without taking a board. If you want extra access boards, please get them. As you can see there, we've got Johan de Beer. He's been employed to help people onboard on the system. So we've got the opportunity this morning, as well as later this afternoon after lunch, for you to register and get all the assistance you need. Now, I just want to clarify something. Milan was bald before he started using the system. It's not our fault. So on that note, I'd like to welcome our MC for the day, Dr. Richard Burrows, who will be taking us further. And to give you guys a bit of background, Richard Burrows has done exceptional work for WRSA in the last year. He's helped us with draft protocols that we'll be showing you later regarding foot and mouth. He's opened doors with the state that we would never have got right because we farmers, and we just show our frustration. You sometimes need someone that's a little bit calmer and has got a little bit more street savvy with how to work with the department. So from my side, Richard, and from everyone at WRSA, I'd like to thank you for all the hard work you're doing behind the scenes and for opening all the doors that we'll now be seeing today. So thank you.